A Sydney academic wants the federal and state governments to charge motorists more to use roads in a bid to cut traffic congestion.
Professor John Rose from the University of Sydney Business School is speaking at a conference on urban congestion, where he'll argue that political will seems to be the only thing standing in the way. Professor Rose joins us now from Sydney. Good morning to you. Now, this is a rather controversial proposal, particularly in the city that you're speaking to us from. Are you talking about increased tolls or a congestion charge like what they have in London?
Good morning. No, basically what I'm talking about is the fact that most people don't understand the costs of the trips that they're making. I mean, we basically pay fuel at the Bowser once a week. We have this electronic tolling, so we don't actually take money out of our pockets anymore. And what I'm trying to say is that what we need to do is we need to relate the costs of taking a trip into the minds of the actual people taking the trip, so they know exactly what it's costing, and we charge them for the correct cost of that trip that they are making. How
do you do that?
Well, the technology is there. I mean, the Dutch government basically had the whole process in place before they changed the government. We have GPS technology, we have all the sat navigation type stuff, so we actually know the distance that people are actually travelling, and we can measure all these things, and we can actually put a price on the kilometre distance that people are charging. And all I'm saying is that we need to basically charge people for what they're using, as opposed to just having these charges that have no relationship to where and how they're driving.
So you were talking about people being more aware of how much each trip is costing them, or actually putting an extra charge for each trip that they take in their cars?
Both. So basically the technology is there that will actually let the driver know the actual cost of that trip that they're making, and then you actually charge them for that. Now, I mean, you can do certain things. I mean, if you think about it, we pay registration once a year, and what does that registration actually represent? What trip is that associated with? That's just basically a charge to use the car. What I'm saying is, if you removed the registration, for example, and you actually charged people for every kilometre that they travelled, then you'd get a fairer system, and you'd actually have a way of monitoring and dealing with congestion, because you could change the charge depending on how congested the roads are.
So you want to disincentivise people from driving their cars in order to reduce congestion, but say in a city like Sydney, what are the alternatives? Public transport's pretty dire there.
Well, the problem is that people are undervaluing their trips. So we make a lot of trips. Now, as I was coming into the studio today, the number of people who were sitting in a car by themselves, it was very, very sad. People can do a lot of things. You can change the time that you travel. It's not necessarily that you have to change mode. I agree, the public transport in Sydney, in a lot of areas, the coverage is just not there. But, we can change the way that we do business. We can change the way that we actually travel. And why not do this? Why not try and deal with the problem in an economic, rational way?
Professor John Rose, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.